Let's just cut right to it. If you're watching this explainer, you're probably feeling a very specific type of pain right now. You've either just signed up for Zoho CRM and you're staring blankly at the screen, or you've been using it for a year and it's basically mutated into a tangled mess of data that your team actively avoids. I've built these systems for hundreds of businesses, and I can tell you right now, it absolutely doesn't have to be that way. Today, we're cutting through the noise. We're ignoring the flashy features. We're focusing entirely on the builder's blueprint for a minimum viable setup. So, what's the real issue here? Why do so many sales teams just flat out refuse to log into their CRM? Well, it almost always comes down to one single enemy: failed user adoption. And that failure, it's caused by a messy, over-engineered system that's literally fighting your sales team. You see, when business owners buy software, they usually want it to do everything, everywhere, all at once. They add 20 custom fields, set up these incredibly strict automation rules, and make the sales team click 10 times just to log a simple phone call. The system becomes a chore. And what happens? The team just rebels and goes right back to their spreadsheets and sticky notes.
But the secret to a successful Zoho CRM, it's actually kind of boring. You have to start with a minimum viable setup, focusing strictly on what we call the core 4 modules. And you have to do this before you automate a single thing. It's all about simplicity over complexity, restraint over endless shiny features. Think about it. If you build a solid, simple foundation first, your team will actually use it. If they use it, you get clean data. And once you have clean data, and honestly, only then can you start layering in those smart automations.
To pull this off, you really need to stop treating your new software like it's some sort of digital playground. Instead, think of it like a construction site. We have to pour a clean, level foundation before we start, picking out the curtains. Your immediate goal is just to get your team logging in daily and actually trusting the data they see. Take a 40-person manufacturing company, for example. Those sales reps are busy. They're on the floor, they're out in the field. They do not need a maze of mandatory fields blocking them from entering a new contact. What they need is clean, lightning-fast data entry. Simple compliance always beats complex theory. If you make it incredibly easy for them to just punch in a name, a phone number, and a few quick notes about what the client wants to build, they'll actually do it.
So, let's talk about the actual foundation of your business data. First off, let's define what a module actually is. In Zoho, a module is just a digital container for a specific type of record. Think of it like a dedicated drawer in a filing cabinet. Out of the box, Zoho gives you dozens of them, but honestly, you only need to care about 4 right now. There's a natural progression here. Imagine a 15-person consulting firm. Someone fills out a contact form on their website. That initial inquiry drops in as an unqualified lead. Then, once the firm actually talks to them and confirms they're a good fit, that lead is converted. It transforms into a qualified deal in the sales pipeline, and the person and their company are saved as a contact and an account. Let's break those 4 containers down one by one. First up, the lead module. A lead is strictly an unqualified opportunity to do business. If someone fills out a web form, boom, they're a lead. You don't know if they're a fit yet, you haven't verified their budget, you don't know if they have the authority to make a decision, you haven't confirmed their actual need or their timeline. The leads module is your filtration system. It's what keeps the tire kickers and the spam out of your pristine database. You process them here, and if they're a dud, they stay completely out of your active sales pipeline. Now, once you have that conversation and figure out they are a solid fit, you convert that lead, and that creates a deal. A deal is a vetted, qualified prospect that you are actively trying to sell to. This is where we separate the signal from the noise. Your deals module is your actual real-life sales pipeline, broken down into clear stages like needs analysis, proposal sent, and negotiation. Only the real money-making opportunities belong in this drawer. It is absolutely crucial to understand the difference here, because mixing these two up is exactly why most databases turn into an unmanageable swamp. A lead is unqualified, high volume, and needs to be filtered. A deal is qualified, vetted, and being actively worked. The biggest mistake I see: people dumping every single email inquiry directly into the deals module. If you do that, your sales reps literally can't tell the difference between a serious buyer who just asked for a contract and some random person who accidentally typed their email into your newsletter form. Use leads to filter, use deals to sell. The final 2 pieces of our core 4 puzzle are contacts and accounts. This is where your long-term relationships live. A contact is the actual breathing human being you're talking to. Let's say Sarah, the marketing director. The account is the master organization she works for. Let's call it Acme Corp. One account can hold multiple contacts and multiple deals over time. This keeps all your business-to-business relationships perfectly organized in one central hub. So if Sarah leaves and John takes over, you just add John as a new contact under the Acme Corp account. Simple, right? Now that the foundation is set, We need to connect the essentials.
Look, Zoho has this massive marketplace, packed with hundreds of shiny, complex third-party tools. Do yourself a favor and ignore all of them for now. Seriously. In this initial phase, stick strictly to 2 things. Number 1, connect your email via IMAP. Number 2, set up a 2-way calendar sync with Google or Office 365. Why just these 2? Because connecting your communication channels stops your team from having to do double data entry. If a rep sends an email in Gmail and then has to go separately log a note in the CRM saying they send it, yeah, that's not going to happen. Connect these 2 essentials and their emails and meetings will automatically log themselves right inside the relevant lead or deal.
But as you build this out, you have to know where the system's boundaries actually are.
There's this concept called task technology fit. It basically means you need a strong overlap between the job you're trying to do and the tool you're using to do it. I'll be totally honest about the trade-offs here. Zoho CRM is an incredibly powerful pre-sales tool, but it is not a post-sales project manager. Your CRM territory is all about capturing leads, running deal pipelines, and getting those initial quotes out the door. But once that deal is won, you cross the boundary. If you're managing complex projects, you really need a tool like Zoho Projects. Handling customer support tickets, that's Zoho Desk. Sending formal invoices and collecting cash, that's Zoho Books. Trying to force Zoho CRM to run your entire post-sales client onboarding is literally like using a hammer to turn a screw. I mean, sure, you can technically do it, but it's going to be messy, painful, and super frustrating. Respect the software's boundaries.
And that brings us to the biggest trap of all.
The overcustomization trap. So many business operators get a little too excited and start slopping on layers of custom automations, required fields, and super strict rules before their team even knows how to navigate the basic platform. There's a core philosophy of good system building you absolutely must adopt. If you have to build a 20-step blueprint before your team logs in, you've already failed. Now, in Zoho, a blueprint is a specific feature that forces users to follow a rigid sequence of steps, and blueprints are fantastic, eventually. But in the beginning, highly rigid systems snap. Flexible, simple systems bend and survive. Your sales process is absolutely going to change the minute it meets reality, so do not hard-code it on day 1. Restraint is your best strategy here.
If you're sitting there worried you might have already over-customized, well, here are a few classic warning signs. Using tags instead of dedicated status fields is a really common lazy habit. A tag can mean anything, which means over time, it means absolutely nothing, and your reporting is completely ruined. We already talked about the pipeline disaster of dumping all inquiries straight into deals. And those blueprints that trap your users in rigid steps, they just frustrate your staff. Finally, creating a bunch of unnecessary custom modules before you've even mastered the core 4 just creates digital clutter. Keep it clean and keep it standard.
So, where do we go from here? What is your very next step? Imagine you're a 25-person agency owner looking at your setup right now. Your immediate next action actually requires you to step completely away from the software. Here's exactly what you need to do. Map out your core sales process into 4 to 7 clear stages on a physical piece of paper before you configure anything in Zoho CRM. Write down every single step. Who does what and exactly when do they do it? Do not try to figure out your business logic while you're staring at drop-down menus and digital columns. Figure out the human process on paper first. Once that 4 to 7 stage pipeline makes total sense to you and your team in the real world, then and only then do you reflect it in your cleanly built Core 4 modules.
Start simple, build for adoption, and respect the boundaries of the system. If you lay the right foundation today, your software is going to serve your business for years to come, instead of fighting you every step of the way. So ask yourself right now, are your team members working for your CRM, or is your CRM actually working for them? Built by CreatorScripts, your trusted Zoho Sage. More at creatorscripts.com.